Lean to order. Join me in the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is our 2025 trustee organizational meeting. This first order of business is I'm going to turn it over to Ashley so she can take nominations for chair. Then you can call the vote on that.
Do I have a nomination for chair?
I'll make a nomination and a comment for that if I may. I know that there's some tradition of kind of passing that torch each year to the succession of the appointments to the board. I think that whether we can continue that tradition, however, I don't feel like it might be pertinent at this time. My nomination would be to continue on with Mr. Jackson as chairperson.
I second that.
Roll call vote. Mr. Jackson,
Abstain.
Holiday,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. I will now entertain motions for vice chair. Adam, are you willing to be nominated again?
I am willing.
You have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Mr. Holliday will be vice chair for 25. Now we have the motion for appointment of Brittany Hopridge, zoning commission member.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, carried. And the same for Bill Gallagher as BZA member.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. And approval for Louis Greenwell to be paid in his position on the zoning commission.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. Elected officials, employees, and zoning commission, zoning committee compensation exhibit A. And that's for employees as well. Have you had a chance to look at exhibit A?
I have.
That's
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a motion to approve the, excuse me, exhibit A.
So moved.
second.
Second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. Physical office, we have supplemental appropriations. Anything you'd like to enlighten us on that, Lisa?
Just to move as needed to make supplemental appropriation within a fund at the legal level control of the UAN accounting program. All other transfers require approval by the board of trustees.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. And would you like to explain the POs and the blankets and so forth?
To approve the 2025 PO blankets and then now POs, trustees give fiscal officer Lisa Hersey permission to execute them on an as-needed basis throughout the year. The signatures will be electronic of all the created 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
First Commonwealth Bank, Sunbury, Ohio, to be the depository for the township for 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ohio Public Employees Retirement System and Ohio Police and Fire Pension Plan, 2025 contributions based on the current Ohio law.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried.
And then approve me to do electronic payments with the electronic signatures of the trustees and fiscal officer. And I'm up to 207 electronic payments.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried.
And one more thing I forgot to add, that we are in temporary appropriations and I've done blankets and purchase orders, so we can now start paying 2025 bills. And I will email the appropriate people and let them. So we're kind of open.
One question, was everyone on the zoning commission and BZA, good with electronic fund transfer?
As far as I know,
Okay, thank you.
I'm having Bill come in today. He needed help setting it up. So we're getting Bill set up. Mike Kavler gave me a direct deposit. And Tom is going to set up his tonight. So
Okay.
I haven't heard any backlash.
Great, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Cool, thank you. Zoning, the appointment of the Township Zoning Review Board. This is to appoint the Director of Zoning and Development, any member of Zoning Commission, any member of the Appeals Board to act as Township Review Team for zoning matters for 2025.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, we have appointment of Township Representative to Delaware Regional Planning for 2025. We appoint Mike Cannon as Township Representative to Regional. And we have a blank here for alternate. We have a person in mind. Mr. Steele Smith, do you agree to be alternate?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. You have a motion to that effect?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Approval to pay mileage for zoning for 2025, pay zoning inspector, zoning secretary, representative, alternate to regional planning, township board members and alternates outside of township mileage as pertains to zoning at the rate of 67 cents per mile.
Is this in that township vehicle, Mike, or this is otherwise?
I mean, you're probably not gonna run across any of that,
Not since we have a car.
not since we have.
Yeah.
Not since we have car, right?
This is, they have their
Continues.
personal vehicle.
But in a situation where maybe I have the car and somebody else need to go do something, you might run across that.
I wonder if we just need to amend the language here to identify POV rather than the township vehicle, a privately owned vehicle.
Probably the township vehicle is not available, staff vehicle, and they use their personal.
Yeah, I mean, it's small potatoes, but
Yeah.
might be worth
Okay.
putting in there. But I'd make a motion to approve that resolution with the added language of specifically pertaining to personally owned vehicles.
Just put POV between pay and zoning on the title. Approval to pay POV zoning mileage.
I agree with that.
Okay. Motion, Adam made the motion.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, aye.
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 Motion carried. Approval to pay registration fees, mileage and other expenses pertaining to zoning courses for 2025.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, we got approval to add driveway permit to zoning fees, and we have settled on $60. That'd be a one and done fee that would be pulled before driveways be put in.
This is adding a driveway where none exists, or is this paving?
It's new driveway.
New driveway, yes.
Okay.
So I meant to change that to 50, but then you wanted to have that discussion, because I have down in the table at the bottom for 50. So I forgot that I had. that.
Well, I think we were trying to be consistent with county, not to be confusing, because about 3 years ago, Delaware County was 50 and then they went to 60, and we would be consistent with county now. So I think that would simplify things. I don't
agree
know
with
what ODOT does. Didn't check with that one.
Simpler the better.
Yes, exactly. So what's the feeling of the board?
I'd make a motion to approve the rate at 60.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, aye.
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 Motion carried. Approval to add 2 required inspections to zoning fees. Well, no, that's if we were doing that, so no, scratch that one, right? That's only pertaining to the driveways, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's pertaining to driveways. If these guys gotta go out and do anything with it, you're gonna have them out there twice. at least. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
sometimes make more than 2 trips.
It
Not
all
sure.
just depends on the situation, but.
What-
Our conversation as we had earlier with piggybacking off the county is they don't instill any of that.
No, not that I know
Feel
of.
To not get into a, he said, she said, why this, why that. We just stick with what kind of the county does. That permit fee includes, and a lot of times it's really one inspection and the follow-up is just kind of a drive-by. Once it's completed, it's not an actual go out and sign off. So I think if we just keep it at 60, said and done.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with doing the 60 this year and see how we get along. It's recouping a little bit of our cost on your time you go out and evaluate what pipe size and so forth. So it's a start anyway. Okay, approval of 2025 zoning fees. Mike, was there anything you decided to change or?
Yeah, I did change the reviews for subdivision and split lots. We were a lot lower than some of the other townships. We were only charging 250 for a big platted development. And that charge goes to the developers.
Okay,
So we changed that to from 250 to 500, 75 a lot.
any discussion on the fee structure?
I would move to approve the fees as listed in minutes.
Let's change the maintenance driveway permit to 60 instead of 50 and drop the,
Yeah,
Yeah,
made that note on my paper.
second.
all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Copy of the zoning resolution is available at the Sunbury Library, Westerville Library, and Delaware Law Library, Delaware City Library, Delaware County Recorder's Office, and Delaware County Prosecutor's Office, Regional Planning, Delaware County Building Department. For trustees, need approval to pay elected officials mileage for 2025. This pertains to official township business at the rate of 67 cents. This is a reimbursement outside of the township.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Approval to pay registration fees, mileage, and other expenses to attend the state convention in Columbus, Ohio for 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Favor, aye?
Aye.
That's carried. Approval to set Board of Trustee meeting date and time for 2025, that the meetings would be the third Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST. Meetings would be held in person or via Zoom meeting unless otherwise advertised.
I'm good with it. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. Approval to set or reorganizational meeting for the Board of Trustees, date and time for 2026. That would be Wednesday, January 7th, 2026 at 1 p.m. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Approval to use Delaware Gazette for township notices for 2025. The township will use Delaware Gazette for township notices to be published. Also, if necessary, 24-hour notices will be posted at 3883 South State Route 605, Glen, Ohio.
So I got a question on this one. I know that, and Lisa, you might be able to speak to this. I know that House Bill 315 passed at the end of last year and the governor was going to sign it. And I do believe that as part of that omnibus, they were going to do away with the requirement to post public notices in a local newspaper. And so,
Language, there's 2 different languages to that, so I was confused.
Mm.
So I've got to reach out to Ohio Township Association.
Mm.
Because it says you can also
right.
post it online on your Facebook or social media.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then one says you don't have to post anymore in the newspaper. So their language, they haven't come out with.
I don't think it's finalized.
the
'Cause
details.
I seen one version that said you could post it on the electronic version of like the Delaware Gazette, the in-between issues.
Yeah, see, I don't.
So it's not,
Come out with the details of exactly what we can do, because there was
Sure.
17 different townships
And I mean, it's obviously minute savings there, right? But at the same time, it's administrative labor and task.
Right.
And so I guess I'm just coming from as a point of curiosity of if we pass this resolution, are we now beholden for the next 12 months to do it every time? Or can we, make that decision ad hoc?
Yeah, I think we can adhere to whatever the higher revised code ends up being when we know the finished product. In my opinion.
Seems like the resolution would require us to put it in the Delaware County Gazette.
Yeah, it's,
Whereas my understanding is that we will no longer be required to put it in print media.
Yeah, so I wonder if this is another situation where we just amend the language of the resolution to say as required by ORC.
that would probably be a good idea.
So if they change ORC, then we can just go by whatever they change
Yeah.
it to and not have to okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree to that.
So, in the first sentence there, Delaware Gazette for township notices to be published as required by ORC.
Okay. Sounds good. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Cemetery. Approval to appoint Ashley Zaruba's cemetery contact person. We'll appoint Ashley to be the contact person and Jason Andrusius to serve as first alternate if Mrs. Zaruba is not available and to be contacted in 965-2661 extension 3.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye. Motion
Carried. Now we're down to the rates for earn, opening, and closing. 350, 450,
So moved.
grave 700, 1100. Want to make a motion on that? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of those rates, signify by aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Hmm.
Okay, approval for opening and closing of grave sites to the public for 2025. The following rates.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Are we missing a resolution?
No, I think it just went in twice.
No, well, what it is, I think,
No, I see it.
back when we had contractor, I think that one part was maybe that,
Oh, like for the contractor, because we did have to take out some cemeteries. too.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the opening and closing earn and grave is in -24.
But really,
It's that the details are in there twice.
really the verbiage after 23 resolution need not be there.
Yeah.
Okay, approval to purchase grave sites, and we're non-resident would be 1,100, resident would be $600. Are we still okay with those rates?
How much of a
So
change?
moved.
How much of a change from current? Second.
Question's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Approved. Okay, we got the next one here to allow township employees with 5 or more years service that do not live in a township to purchase grave sites at resident rates.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Carried. Approval of footer prices. Now, we did not hear from Stacy, is that correct? Our contractor? Okay, with that, we're probably acting on these, and if typically it's March or April when he sends us a new rate about time he's thinking about going to work. So these may need to be revisited, but right now we're $1.50 a square inch surface area. And you add 2 inches of the length and 2 inches of the width, a minimum price of $525 for a footer.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. And the second resolution is dealing with Stacy to approve the subcontract with Stacy Plaster doing business as CNS restorations for footer installation. Motion is to subcontract with Stacy Plaster for installation prices to follow contract negotiations, $1.25 a square inch minimum of $525.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Grange Hall and Township Facility is to appoint approval of contact person for facility use, to approve Ashley Zaruba to be the contact person and to be contacted. It gives her a web address or township address. The Grange Hall will be deep cleaned quarterly in 24, well, it should be 25 now.
Know that it had been,
Yes.
that says that it was.
I got
Okay.
you. It's past it.
Do we feel that's sufficient for that?
As of right now, I think it is. I try to pop in there after each use. I know that Jason and I had discussed possibly having somebody go in after every party. I really think the only time that it gets to the point of like needing a clean constantly is holiday season. Cause I had 2 parties a week, or like a weekend, pretty much from November through December. So I'm thinking maybe have like one in September and then another one at the end of November to get ready for the December parties, because we had so many boom, boom, boom. But I think otherwise the quarterly seems okay. Nobody's trashing the place.
It's good to know.
Mhm.
And if somebody does, I mean, like we had an incident where they didn't take their trash and left it there, and thankfully Bill and Jason gone in to do something else and there was liquid all over the floor from the trash bag, so they cleaned that up. So I did send an email, hey, next time you guys rent, please just make sure you take your trash out, yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
But nothing, broken, destroyed, things like that.
Well, I had the same thought as what Jason had talked about, somebody to come in and clean up after use. And, but the availability of finding somebody is gonna be tough.
The lady that we use, she's great, and when I call her and say, hey, I need a cleaning, within 48 hours, she's like, yeah, I can get somebody out.
Okay.
Like within that 48 hours. So I've had to tell her like, hey, I need a cleaning in a week, because she's like, we'll come right now. I'm like, no, there's a party there right now, but so they're really quick and to the point, and I also know a couple other cleaners that if she couldn't, we could get a hold of. So I don't think it would be a problem finding someone necessarily, just
Okay.
whether it's needed or not. And holiday season is really the only time, like Jason said, that we have so many coming and going that
Mhm.
it would be probably beneficial to do it
All
more
right.
in the like fall and winter.
Okay. Well, we can continue as is till we need to do something, I guess.
Is there any concern with there not being any charge for community room or shelter rentals? I mean, even on a deposit basis? I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I'm just curious.
I don't, how many people actually are renting the community shelters? Is it steady or?
Shelters, quite a few in the summer, like spring and summer, like I already have a couple for spring. But I really think it's just setting up some food and letting their kids play at the park. I don't think it's any
I agree, yeah.
extravagant
I just
parties
don't think it
or,
needs to be a clerical burden or, hey, give us a check.
No.
Oh, hey, here's a check back.
yeah.
We'll just wait.
If something happens, I think we just approach.
Agreed.
If we need to move forward, and I think we can do that.
Yeah, like if for some reason we go over there and they notice that benches are broken right after a party.
Right.
And they're totally wrecking the place, but for the most part, the rentals that I've gotten are, hey, I have a 3rd birthday party, or hey, I have a celebration of life that there's 10 of us coming. So I think until there is a problem, I agree with Jason, I don't think we really need to add that extra.
Move to approve resolution -28 approval of contact person for facility use.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Approval of township facility use fees for 25. Would make a motion, no changes to township facility fees for 25 and $100 for residents, 150 for non-resident, plus $100 refundable deposit.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Approval to have township Grange Hall cleaned quarterly at not to exceed $250 per cleaning.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Fire department. Okay,
We do it.
yeah, go for it.
Pardon me. Approval of our fire inspection fee schedule, no changes from last year, and we're still consistent on the other agencies in our area that are charging these.
Okay, very good.
Second, for the chief's motion.
You made the motion?
I can make it. if you
Yeah,
didn't make it.
somebody needs to. Okay, I'll second it. All those in favor of the approving the fee schedule?
Aye.
Motion carried. Maintenance. We're
I was
still,
gonna ask about this. This has been on for 3 years.
yeah,
So I'm not sure if it is needed. Because we did have some new equipment bought last year, so that would be up to Jason and you guys. Because we haven't saved no money
all right.
for these.
No, somebody spent it all.
Yeah.
Good thing we
And he
did.
bought he bought a Ford.
Cause the other truck's been broke for 3 days.
So
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you guys wanna keep us on there or not. Because we haven't been saving for this.
yeah,
We should probably start to. This is my thought, cause if we have a 3-year plan for the large truck, which depending on what we have with the Kenworth. Might need to replace that before the international.
exactly. Yeah, we're having more trouble with the newest one. There's a little thing called exhaust fluid. So I would say we need to reinstitute our capital savings plan for that purpose.
Okay.
Okay. So with that, right now, what he's got on here is the 3 years on the international, 5 years on the pickup truck. I don't know if that's, I figured the pickup truck would be first myself, but of course you got the 550 now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's. 6 to 1/2 dozen another, depends on what kind of headaches are coming out of the big trucks, the international's not giving us any trouble. So if we just
Yeah.
look up the Kenworth, it's been out of commission for 4 days, during a heavy snowstorm. We have it at the shop now, we drug it down the road with chain, but we will not drive. So. I feel that one should probably be ahead of the pickup, because. There's not many issues with the pickup yet. But I also feel if major issues came about,
Yeah,
I think we could allocate and adjust.
Yeah, I think we could-
With building opportunities.
we could figure out some money
Whatever
for a pickup
other
truck.
emergency needs.
Well, so I can, at the end of 2025, if we could transfer that 200,000. That we were gonna do for building. Maybe transfer part of that into capital of motor vehicle.
Yeah,
Why do we need to touch that money? Why can't we save for both?
Well, you can, but
Yeah.
you need to tell me how much for building.
So-
Not right
Right, so we're saying in 3 years, we need potentially to replace a dump truck, is that what we're saying?
2 to 3, I would.
So
say.
we need to save about $80,000 a year for the dump truck. And 5 years for a pickup, which would be about 20,000, so we need to set aside $100,000 a year. For the next 3 to 5 years to replace these. It seems like we could afford that as well as saving toward our capital improvement. For township facilities. Why penalize one for the other?
Jason, have you heard any kind of guesstimation on what a truck costs?
A large truck,
Yeah,
no. But I was gonna reach back out, because I would assume this is probably low,
I think,
but I don't know.
yeah, I think the 250, I
I
know,
know I could replace a pickup truck. Which I quoted this year at under 100.
oh, yeah, yeah,
That was before. We talked just today that if we're getting a pickup truck, we're probably gonna get a snowplow on it, just in case we have a
Yeah.
situation. So it might be at 100.
I know a tandem chassis, of course, I'm talking a tractor, which would be similar. They're about 200K. That's no outfitting.
Right.
Like what we have now, if you want to get one, you're probably looking at 250 to maybe 320.
Okay, I was thinking probably,
With snow, with your snow stuff on.
yeah, I was thinking it'd be closer to 3.
Well, we can add more money to the transfer out when we do permanent. So we can decide, we've got a little time, and we could raise that up to save, to kind of get an idea of what we need to save.
Yeah, so just, so a capital improvements fund to include both equipment and facilities.
Building
Yeah.
and motor vehicles.
Great.
We can just do that, so it gives you a little time. Figure out how much we want to transfer out.
So do we want to approve this or?
Approve as is, or any language need to be changed there?
We're just approving a replacement schedule.
Yeah,
Well, how about we
Yes.
just put dump truck instead of being, because he said the Kenworth maybe would need replaced,
right.
but be very vague, like just do a dump truck and a pickup.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Unless we do that, thing that you do to wet system, delete. I didn't say that.
You didn't say that?
You can't just do equipment
Yes,
and then whichever you need it for.
yeah, pretty much, just a blanket equipment. So you got 350 here.
So do we just wanna change the whole thing to 3 to 5 year? 350,000 for maintenance equipment or just for equipment?
Maintenance,
Equipment.
maintenance equipment would be fine. So do I have a motion to approve as
I'll move that.
changed?
Second.
Second, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Now, the Henderson prices, Jason, these are the old prices?
No, these are current as of this morning.
Oh, good,
The
good,
rest
good.
is the
I
press
called them
release.
this morning and that's what they.
Okay,
today.
that's
But
great.
they did comment that in the last couple of years, they're changing about every 6 months now. So this is as of this morning, subject to change.
I know a lot of times I think the query I've seen change along about March, seems like about time things start happening for the year. Okay,
So
gentlemen.
this was as of this morning.
Okay, very good. So, a motion to approve these rates for materials.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay. Now, Adam, would you like to deal with this one? I will say that, the 9.4 acres, I left it that way this year. But it shrank more like the 8.8 because the septic system came out of that part of the field. Of the crop acres up on the hill. Oh, yeah,
8.8.
yeah, and I would say the rate 195 an acre. Whatever that adds up to. I didn't do any math,
So you're changing 9.4 to 8.8
correct,
and 195 up from 190.
correct.
Actually, that changes it in the details of the resolution and the
Yeah,
subject of the resolution.
1716 gross,
Which is $70 down.
yeah. If my math's right, Mr. Verizon's right.
1716.
Yes,
I'd move to approve resolution dash 034, rent contract for 8.8 acres at 195.
Second.
call a vote,
Roll call, Ashley.
Mr. Jackson,
abstain.
Mr. Holiday.
Aye.
Mr. Trey.
Aye.
Okay. Now, if we want to adjourn the organizational meeting and start a,
One whole thing,
sure,
while we're on this.
Yeah.
On exhibit one, on employee compensation. I don't know if it makes any difference on my compensation. I do not have the cash in lieu of benefits. Like it shows on Dave's.
Good
So
point.
we had voted that in.
Yes.
And so on here, I don't know how, if we should have it on here.
Probably should. Should we,
It was the same amount.
correct, yes.
Yes. But you guys already voted on.
Yeah, I don't.
You're good with not have, you think that's okay, Lisa, not having it on exhibit one, or we should do an amendment?
Just put it into the minute. Cause it was already approved.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's good to check. The way we advertise this, the organizational meeting with business meeting to follow, so we can, we'll call for a motion to adjourn the organizational meeting if there's nothing further.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Meeting, organization meeting is now adjourned. I'll call to order the regular business meeting. We have a hearing, 2:30, we might be in trouble on that one. Sorry.
Do
Lisa, you want to do your financial report?
Sure, the December bank reconciles up there. I gave you guys appropriation reports for 24 and the beginning of 25. And then approved the 24 vouchers only from voucher number 199-2024 through voucher number 207-2024 in the amount of $105,519.61.
Motion to approve,
So moved.
Second.
second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, now to approve the first 2025 warrant vouchers. Starting with warrant number 13764 through warrant number 13770. And voucher number 1-2025 through voucher number 3-2025. Total amount $9,560.24.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And then Star Ohio accounts, the first account, the interest earned for year-to-date in 2024 was $62,984.88.
$85.
Or 88, huh?
$85.
Oh, sorry, and 88 cents. And then the second one, we transferred the checking account in May. So up until May, it was $4,580.40. The third one earned $12,979.21. And then our bank account, the following interest earned year to date in 2024 was the primary checking account, $80,553.05. Our savings account earned $46,707.89.
Making enough in interest about those trucks.
Right.
That was my thought.
That's my thought. That's my thought.
We're good.
Great.
I'll call them tomorrow.
Calm down. We don't have a resolution for that, calm down.
Got next week?
We are earning very good interest right now.
Yeah. Oh, well, if I can enter it.
Okay, very good. Okay, fire department,
I'd like to approval to hire a permanent part-timer, Kira Mentner, $18 an hour.
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And approval to hire a part-time firefighter, Connor Klein, at $18 an hour.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
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 What do you
Motion
want
carried.
their start date to be or start date after to be? Yeah. as of today?
Once paperwork's correct, then we'll start.
Okay.
Just a side note, these are folks that have come seeking employment here. We have not recruited. We've had a couple that have come and we've not called them back. Based on their thing, and we have a couple more getting tested next week, so. I'm very proud to say that the word is out and people want to work here.
Sounds good. Keep up the good work.
So you've officially started the new hourly regimen, the 4 days?
Yes, we have.
It's-
Yes.
Okay, 48.
And so far, they seem to, it'll take a little bit of adjustment, but so far they're like, yeah, that's.
You're getting good feedback.
Yep.
I know it's just the beginning, but
Yeah, and I've got 5 other fire chiefs that have sent me emails asking me to let them know how it's working out, so. And we want to be a leader and that's obviously showing that when we have other people looking at what we're doing, that's a good thing.
Good. All right, administrative offices, we have approval of minutes. Got, looks like 3 of them, November 20th, regular meeting. December 11th, special meeting, December 18th, for a special meeting, but I think that was a regular meeting.
18th, yeah.
Yeah,
The pre-agenda says I move to approve them, so I'm gonna move to approve the
Thank you.
minutes as listed.
I'll second.
Thank you.
all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 I'll copy and paste.
Minutes are approved.
I'm
Okay,
working smarter, not harder.
What?
Well, copy and paste.
Why am I moving to go into executive session?
I don't know.
Copy and paste there.
Okay,
I think it was,
from the last meeting?
yeah, I think it was the last one.
Okay.
Left over.
Let's make sure you're on your toes.
Yeah.
We're trying to get ahead.
Make sure you guys paste it. And I put executive, I didn't think you guys needed it, but every time I don't put it, you need it, so I just put it on there.
That's fine. That's,
Okay,
that's a
thank you.
good thing. Good way to do it, yeah.
Cause the 2 times that I haven't put it on there, you guys ended up going into it, and I'm like, oh, here we are, so.
45-minute recess, Dave?
Something like that.
I do have a,
Yeah,
one thing.
sure.
Since we're in session. One thing in talking with, Mr. Trainer, he asked, I bring it up before the, trustees. I need to go and have more discussions with, Tiffany Mag with the sewer department. And, they are working on costs and that type of thing to bring from the trunk line up. While they're doing that, I talked to Tiffany briefly. I would like to go up and it's no cost to us and piggyback on her engineering and her costs on this is in the micro area on the southern part of Harlem Township, on the large line that's going to go across the southern portion that we deem we're probably going to need. Don't know exactly where it's going to be, but would like to piggyback on the work that she's doing now and get some ideas as to like what it's going to cost and what kind of engineering problems they're running into and what kind of timelines. So just normally I would just run up there, but John wanted me to bring it forward to you guys. If you had any questions, any ideas, that type of thing.
No questions come to mind. I mean, I think that's important to know, right? If we're gonna need to do the same thing. Might as well
Yeah, I think
understand it.
we need to know that with the interest over that way.
Oh, yeah, yeah. In fact, Mike just got called in yesterday and we're gonna meet with some guys that have 2 more properties down there. So there's a lot of interest. But, and we're getting the kind of questions that we don't want to look like we're putting them off. We want to give them truthful, we're not giving them time. But in talking to Tiffany, I want to be able to say, yeah, we're working on it, we're getting costs, we're getting engineering. Because it's just like down by Smothers Road, bringing it up. There was some rock in the way, maybe. And type of things that when you're trying to draw a straight line, you may not be able to draw a straight line geographically because of something in the way. These are the type of things we need to find out going on in those areas and why she's got the manpower, so to speak, that's working on it, that they appropriated funds to do that. We'd like to piggyback on that.
Sure.
Do you have any more indication from her on timeline for when she
Well,
might
based
get
on the way
bids
things
out,
go,
et cetera.
They're not even, I don't think they've even started on Smothers. If they have, it's very preliminary. I haven't talked to her since, before the holidays. And, so you're probably, if we were gonna pull the trigger, it would be a year, it would take a year to put it in. If we pulled the trigger today. So we're not ready to pull the trigger, so it's gonna be a long time.
Okay.
No. So that gives us plenty of time to see what's going in, how it's going in. But there's some preliminary answers that we need to know, cost wise, engineering wise. I noticed, as an example, when we had done preliminary, bringing it north off of, Fancher Road, I had marked it on a map because I thought I was killing two birds with one stone, coming between two, what would be two proposed subdivisions. And she said, you can't put it there. I go, okay, why? Geographically, you can't put it there. So even though we were trying to save money, the ground isn't gonna let us. So we had to, it's gonna have to be moved over. So these are the type of things we need to know going in. So if somebody says, well, is the sewer gonna go through my property? Is it gonna go north, going south? If we start to get an idea of what's going on down there and, which her engineers and her people are studying, that'd be great help.
Good stuff.
Did you want to talk Center Village at all? At this point, or would you prefer to delay that?
Okay, I was gonna bring that up next month, but.
We have time.
Oh, okay, so,
That we do.
there's a, planner by the name of Justin, who works for the Steiner Company, and he's actually come into some of our meetings when we were doing the, Harlem Gorsuch subdivision. And, he's gone out on his own. The Steiner Company, main forte is walkable neighborhoods. And that includes, whatever commercial, whatever residential, that they really like walkable. So I have talked to him about, doing something with Center Village. Because, we'd like to have it a walkable type community, friendly. Ours would be a little more rural than they normally do, because they're closer to cities and that type of stuff. And, he said he would be very happy to look at it. What I was looking for to start with would be a very preliminary overview of what his thoughts are and traffic patterns, walkable patterns. Because what we might think, just like with the sewer, what we might think is this is obvious, we need to do it this way. He may say, no, you can't do it that way, you need to do it this way. And based on experience in engineering and that type of stuff. So probably in March, we were wanting to have him start and do a preliminary overview and just an exercise as to what Center Village would, could look like. And then with that, with the placement, having look at facilities for the township, park facilities, commercial, new neighborhoods, it's quite extensive. And then once we have that, the members of the township can look at it and give opinions, and he can listen to them and see where we need to move stuff, not move stuff. And if there's something they want moved, and he would be the man to answer why you can't do that way, or you're gonna have a bottleneck if you do it this way, that type of thing. So I would like to get that started in March, maybe April, depending on his timeline. Was looking to use the funds that Mike and I have set aside. We look for the overlays that have stopped by, and using Holly on the overlays to have stopped by then. So if we put her on pause, we could use those funds to start this process. And I think once the township gets an overview of what we're talking about and we start getting input, then we can decide where to go from there. But I think it's important because right now we have a whole bunch of opinions, but we don't have anything to look at. You got to have something to start with. that was my thought and idea, and like I said, he was willing to do that.
My
We haven't
feed,
talked money yet, but
my feedback to Jim and why I thought it was important for us as a team to discuss it is that with the strategic planning process begun, you don't want to preempt the work that the folks that are participating in that team are doing, or any ideas they might come up with that might influence the design of that project. And you don't want to, of course, to contradict. And perhaps they could inform. So there's one line of effort that you could walk down. The other one, which I think is interesting, is to have him do this carte blanche, that is, without any preconceived ideas from either residents or another planner, so that you just have this independent person kind of creating, which I think is also a really interesting concept. And I think that it could be managed well so that you let the residents know, hey, we're not trying to preempt you. We're not going to overrule your creative work, but we have asked this person to think outside of the box, come up with a plan that we can consider, which I think is a kind of a neat concept. If we think we can manage that and not feel like our residents are being undermined. I don't think they are.
preliminary, when he comes up with
Yeah.
a preliminary, if the committee's going strong and that type of thing, he can come in and present it.
Sure.
Yeah, so this is what I came up with.
What do you think?
Parks Committee is waiting, Maintenance Committee, Fire Department, everybody, all these different entities are waiting to see what kind of ideas we come up with.
Yeah.
And just to keep putting it off doesn't do any good. And why we have the time and the money, I thought just to get, and like I said, once he comes up with something, it's gonna be nice, but, basically it's a draw, it's a pen, vision wise, it's just a pencil drawing.
Yeah.
But to show where everything's at, go ahead and bring it to the public. And I mean, he can present it here along with the committee. I mean, there's different, avenues to present it and get everybody's feedback.
Can you remind us of the work he's doing now? He's doing a community in New Albany.
And it's called Hamlet.
Yeah.
And it's at 605 and Central College. And they went in, that was a long process to get it started. They went in, and it's a walkable community. They've gone in and torn all the houses down on that corner, on that southeast or southwest corner. And some on the southeast corner. And it's gonna be a large walkable community. And they went in and got it rezoned and everything. So it's called the Hamlet, and they're getting ready to start that. And their flagship, of course, is Easton. That they designed and did Easton. But if you go to their website, they've got walkable communities all over the Midwest.
Can you remind me the name of the company?
Steiner's companies.
It is Steiner.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank
Yeah, and I've talked to the president several times, Yamir.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of the same ideas as far as what's good for communities. And his main focus is he likes to have a community where you're raised in the community and you die in the community. So you have all the different facets. You have housing for young couples, middle-aged housing, senior housing, nursing homes, that you don't have to go out. And it's like John and I were talking, we both have elderly parents that are close by. But, a lot of times those facilities are way far away. And even with the developers I talk to, we're always looking for assisted living and nursing home to be in the community. But his forethought, he takes it even further. He wants stuff for the kids and then he wants stuff for end of life. He wants a total concept of community. Ours won't be that, but it'll be some form of community in that. That's their main thing. We don't have enough room or enough money to do all that. But Hamlet will be interesting down in New Albany because they're going to try to put a lot of that concept into that.
So this guy, he continues to work for Steiner or he spun off on his own?
He spun off on his own on the first.
Okay,
He still works with them and
Yeah.
for them.
but he's a brand new
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
He's certified and done everything.
copy.
But yeah, he's the main guy. And like I said, I've seen his work. He came and presented the Harlem Gorsuch properties for Steiner. Very community oriented group and listened to the residents very well. At that time, you know, it was probably one of the first large concept of that, and the neighbors were worried. And, you know, he'd go talk to them and, you know, simple things like, oh, there are gonna be construction workers running across my property. He'd go over and talk to him and said, no, you know, there's not gonna be, if there is, you let me know, we'll put signs up, whatever. So, yeah, he's very community oriented. But I like the idea, let him get something on paper from a professional. Bring it to the committee, bring it to a trustee meeting, let people see it, and then go from there. That's what I'm looking for. And I think the community needs that. They've been waiting on something like that. And we get started on it.
Yeah, of course, cost, knowing how much it costs would be important.
Yeah, we haven't got that far yet.
Yeah.
You know, I'm hoping with the relationship I have with him and stuff, I told him we didn't have any money. But so to see what the costs are, and of course, the costs are going to be relative to what we want.
Yes,
The amount of work. that we
scope of
want.
work. And so being careful to define that. for him.
Yes,
Yes,
and so, yeah, when we get down to that, but preliminarily, you know, we were trying to keep it, and I could be just talking out of inside of my head, I don't know. I was trying to keep it in that 10,000 range. So for starters, it may be a hair more, I don't know. Depends on how much research he has to do. Yeah, you know, how much involvement he has to, as he looks through the town and that type of thing. Beyond that, the price will probably go up as he interacts with the committee. And if we wanted to do a second one with their ideas, or everybody's ideas, you know, it just depends. But I think, now he's not writing zoning code, he's not writing, you know, highway code, he's not, you know, there's no ordinances or anything goes along with it. It's strictly a concept. So basically, since John, Mike and I would like permission to get into that. And of course, when we find out the money involved, we'll bring that to you. But we would like to proceed with that and get that going here sometime in March if we can.
yeah. My only, it's not even a concern. My only observation is that it work in parallel with the strategic planning process and that they complement one another. I think it's a great idea. If I was doing it on my own, I'd say, well, let's put that a little bit more toward the end of the strategic planning process. But if you're saying, hey, I want to get going on this, I don't have a problem with that personally.
No. I think the problem is if we want to continue to, if he brings it in in the preliminary part where people have seen it.
Mhm.
All right, then if there's gonna be corrections or new ideas, we can push that off towards the end.
Yeah,
But at least we have an idea of what it is.
Yep.
And then, once we push it off towards the end, we don't have the overlay done yet. And then he and Holly could collaborate on this new design and an overlay and finish that off.
Yep.
But it's gonna take time. And I haven't talked to him about time, you know, I might talk to him, he might tell me it'd be 60 days, 90 days just to get a preliminary to us. I don't know. Usually nobody works as fast as we'd like for them to. So, but I would like to start the process. You know, get in, find out. If I find out it's gonna be too much money and we gotta find somebody else, I'll let you know. Plus, we'll let you know what the money is.
I think it'd be a good idea, like you said, to get a preliminary and to share with the group when they get going and
Yeah, I think it's, and like I said, there's so many things involved. Especially when you get to the township properties. With the parks and, the fire department administrator, what we're gonna do with all this ground. He's gonna envision that. And he's gonna have concepts and ideas of what we should do with this stuff. Doesn't mean we have to do it, but you're getting an outside opinion on, what we should be doing. Also, we have the corner, what do we do with 605 in Center Village? We want a walkable community. Do we keep most of the walkable part on a certain side so people aren't having to cross 605? In that area for commercial. He's got a lot of things involved in that we'll have to address at some point. So, yeah, it'll be quite extensive, idea wise. So how long it takes him, I don't know. But it'll be interesting. I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, I love that you're bringing in an external voice. I think that's really important and to be valued.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And switching topics. The strategic planning process, Holly would like to employ the use of a steering committee throughout that process, which is common practice in these endeavors. And typically that's 5 to 7 members in a team that help with communication, help provide input throughout the process. These are folks that are not a part of us. So it's not a trustee, it's not an employee, it's not a member of either of our boards, it's residents. I talked to Jennifer Chrysler in New Albany, their development director, and they're right now going through this replanning of the 62 corridor. And they've used a strategic or a steering committee, and she said they found it incredibly helpful because you inherently get a group of residents that become informed, but then they're also able to communicate to other residents through the process. Both positively informing, but then also dealing with detractors, if there are detractors. And she said she would highly recommend it, and Holly agrees. And so I'm simply saying it to the trustees for us to think about how would we get 5 to 7 people? Do we send out a general invitation? Are there 5 to 7 people we'd think, yeah, that's who I'd want on a steering committee? Just kind of what are your thoughts? And you'd probably want the steering committee in place by our first meeting on the 25th.
I would think so.
I think that would be ideal.
Mhm.
So I'm tossing that on the table.
In the steering committee, you'd want them essentially steering the strategic planning process, right?
I think it's going to be heavily steered by Holly and Crossroads,
Yeah.
right? But yes, they should be able to say to Holly, hey, we think you should do this or that, or yeah.
I think I would want, Holly, Crossroads, or whoever those stakeholders are there
Yeah.
to essentially lead that, the recruiting process, or at least the selection process, right? So I mean, even if we send something out in a public forum of, hey, we're looking for volunteers for the steering committee, or, even if it's not a volunteer basis, get some sort of method lined up there, and then, Holly and team, Crossroads and team, whoever else is driving the strategic initiative in general would be making those selections, because that's where they're working.
I like that because it takes us out of the equation.
Not only that, but I also wouldn't want to try to manage this from Mount Olympus, right? Like,
Right.
we're not the ones that are going to be dealing with that feedback on
Right.
a consistent basis. So I'd much rather that relationship be built where it's going to be executed.
So I could say to Holly, hey, we're going to put that ball in your court. You can send out whatever announcement you want to send out. You can recruit and you can decide.
Well, and our communications committee can obviously help out with that a lot, because they've already had a lot of the vehicles in place.
Right.
So next week, there's a meeting between Crossroads, Trail Communications, and Lindsay.
Mhm.
And so they can discuss that during that meeting.
Yeah, I would just assume
Yeah, I would think you'd need to
Okay.
initiate it by next week for
Yep.
sure.
Okay, sounds good.
Question on that, how are, a lot of questions from the, Harlem Township employees, how are they involved? How is that process for them? You said something about, all the, employees are on an invite to the.
Yeah,
Process, or how-
so this
how does
is
it work?
me speaking for me. I would imagine that the employees are absolutely invited to every meeting. That there's an official invite to the employees and to the chair of the zoning commission and the chair of the BZA. So that we would, I don't think we can make it mandatory, but we would highly encourage our peeps to be involved in this process. Yes.
Then are they gonna have a voice? The same as the steering committee? How does that work?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
I don't either.
And what if our peeps didn't want to be there as part of the township? They wanted to be there as a resident.
Oh, that's an
Considered for
interesting
the steering
question.
committee.
Yeah,
But what about that?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Again, speaking just for me, right? Like, I think, I'm invested in it, right? Because as a citizen, but then also as, sitting on the board, right? So I kind of look at it from both points of view. I think the benefit for the three of us sitting on the board is that our viewpoint as a citizen can be reflected in what our votes and our opinions are, or our decisions, right? From an employee of the township, I think what we need to do is be able to separate the decision-making ability, or your ability to divert the strategic operations process from the seat of whatever your position is. Does that make sense? Now, I would go out on a limb and say that I don't know that that is a potential. So, from my personal opinion, if citizen, Mike wants to, try to be on the steering committee, I don't know that I would have an issue with that, because it's a steering committee, it's not a steering captain. You know what I mean? So, all these decisions aren't made in a vacuum. It's collaborative and it's communication. And I also feel comfortable in that because all that stuff's gonna roll up to us anyway, in one way, shape, or form, right? So I don't think that it's fair to take away the opinions and the ability to express those of a citizen, even just because that citizen happens to work in the township. But I do believe that it's important to separate this as, right, your official capacity or your private capacity.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair either. I think if I wanted to be on that committee, I wouldn't want to be there as an employee. I want to be there as another.
Right, and
Because that also uncuffs you as to what you can and can't do while you're there, if you're just there as a resident.
And to John's point, like, I don't know that those are answers that we can answer right now, because I think as you look at the strategic planning process as a whole of what it's going to look like this year, Mike as zoning director is going to have a part in this just as much as Mike as a citizen would. You see what I mean? And so the questions to be answered are, how do we delineate those two different people? And it's not just you. I mean, there are other people that work here, that live here, right? And so, using you as an example, because I know you don't mind. So I think I can kind of see it from a few different sides of the glass on that.
But we're gonna get the word out to the whole township as to you're invited,
Yes,
everyone.
that's right.
Yeah.
And I think the wisdom in getting the trustees out of that process and letting an external party manage it is it takes the trustees out of the process. Which I think is a good thing.
Will you be letting the employees know when these?
Yeah, the first one is 25 Jan, which I think has already been announced.
It is very
You were-
appropriately posted.
You were on
Yeah,
vacation.
It was on a beard growing height.
Everybody was on a beard growing hiatus.
So, I think
So-
you were.
and
No,
so
that's
that
fine.
first meeting, the purpose of that meeting is to identify strategic priorities for the township. And it's really for the trustees to identify those strategic priorities and agree upon them with the input from the employees, which I think is highly valued, and residents as they decide to attend. And then that conversation will be guided by, I think, Creel Communications. helping us work through any number of questions to try and arrive at those answers, which will not be set in stone. I think, and this is the beauty, is those, I think, are malleable over the next several months and should be. We should always be able to revisit this stuff.
If you're gonna do a true community-driven plan, which is where you're headed towards, you need
Yes.
to have those parameters and stuff, because, again, sorry, I just got back, but,
No,
unless there's some direction, somebody, you can't have, it needs to be a focused agenda, not a,
yes.
and I like where it's headed.
Yeah. This is my understanding is the leadership has to agree, here are the priorities, and then everything flows from that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Got one other thing, I got a contact from a Charles Bukowski from the AEP permitting section. They're gonna start construction of the new transmission lines here on 20th in Delaware County. And he was just reaching out to let me know they'll be coming through our area probably early February with temporary construction entrances off Green Cook, Needles Road, Trenton Road, which Trenton is actually Trenton Township, but they will be accessing the Harlem side of Trenton Road. That I'm in contact with them for temporary entrances, we'll be doing down wooden mats, culverts if needed. To start putting that main transmission line in. And I will be in contact and follow up with project manager, monitor if any issues, damage, concerns or whatnot. Be on top of it, let them know. But it should be pretty seamless. They kind of know what they're doing.
How have things gone this week with snow removal, et cetera?
Long hours.
When did you begin? And
We began Friday morning when that snowstorm started. Thursday night, Friday morning. And then learned that we had what we thought was salt in the barn was actually gravel grid. So we had an emergency, let's get some salt off Delaware and make sure we're covered. I've since had salt delivered and have more coming. But then the big storm that started Sunday night into Monday. We were here Sunday evening through the night, through Monday. Took a break Monday evening to come back in early Tuesday morning about 3 to get everything opened back up after all the drifting. And then fought all day yesterday and then came in early again today. To make sure everything was still good and open, and everything this morning was in good shape.
And so with two of you and two vehicles,
Yeah.
you feel like you've been able to manage this.
We managed this one pretty well with the timing that it came in and what we had two of us here Friday. He came in Saturday for about 6 hours. I was unavailable. We were both here Sunday evening through Monday. And then again, early Tuesday and then early today. It worked out with timing.
If the event, if the weather was more severe, do you still think you'd have been able to handle it as well as you guys did?
I want to say, yeah, it would just be longer.
And I don't know if you're going down this road, but I guess I'm curious, like, are there contingencies in place, or should there be some put in place as far as maybe subcontractors to reach out to if we can't keep up, something like that?
I don't know if there's a concern of keeping up based on what the weather does, because it's very unpredictable.
Right.
Because ultimately it's like right now, our roads that you guys have seen out there are clean. Salt, snow is gone, they're basically almost dry.
Mhm.
So the goal is to keep the roads passable. So as long as they're passable, we go hit them with a snowplow, you can drive on the road. It still may be treacherous, it still may be hazardous for a small vehicle, but it's passable. As when we came in Tuesday morning, most east-west roads were drifted shut.
Mhm.
Trenton Road was this deep. But after about 6 passes, it was passable. A couple hours later, we had it back opened up. By mid-afternoon, it was clear. So if we had a bad, say, blizzard that was a couple, 3 days, then it'd probably be a whole different situation.
Sure.
So I don't know if it might be worth putting like, Larry has in prior years, I know. That's kind of a go-to man if needed, which he does his own thing. I
Yeah.
think it's kind of just situation dependent.
Yeah, just about a year ago, we engaged a contractor and he helped us out, bailed us out. That's when we were just one man.
Right.
And Larry Dorr, of course, he's in the snow removal for a lot of like Amazon and so forth. He pitched in being he's a township resident and kept us going. We've got a couple guys that's got CDLs that we could utilize too. I mean, we could easily put one of those in the little truck, provided both the other trucks are running.
That, the biggest thing is equipment, like we lost a big truck Friday. But thank God we had the F-550 to use. Now, if another truck goes down, then we're down to one truck. Two guys in one truck, we got the Gator, but it works, but it's not the most efficient. Plus we have the backhoe, which, you know, if it gets that bad, then we're at level 3 anywhere, so everybody should be at home.
That's when we put you in the old grader with a V
That's when
plow.
we fire up the old dogs and run right down the middle.
There you go.
So as the storms are bad enough, we're anticipating a 4, 5, 6 day winter extreme. Is that gonna happen?
Sure,
You know,
fair enough.
I think we're good for now.
Heard.
If it gets bad, we can make that determination when it comes.
Thanks. If no other discussion, you want to recess until 2:30?
Be fine.
Make a motion, we recess the regular meeting until 2:30 PM.
Second.
Second.
Favor, aye.
Aye.
You're in recess.
Say, right, here's your,
But
What? Oh, here you go.
3 weeks.
and if you, I don't know about.
Yeah, I remember, I think I did one of those once before.
Yeah.
Back in order.
Call it or make a motion?
Yeah, that too.
Aye.
Both of them.
Yeah,
Make a motion to call the meeting back to order. Reconvene 2:31.
Second.
All opposed, aye? Or all in favor, aye, opposed, nay?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So, hey, Joe, how you doing? Meeting a zoning application hearing. Mike, would you do me a favor, close the doors? Resolution 25-0108T-035, approval of zoning application HTZC 24-09, David and Belinda Jackson. I will make a motion in just a moment to approve zoning application HTZ 2409 for David and Belinda Jackson at 2305 State Route 605, Galena, Ohio 43021. They're seeking to rezone 2.325 acres out of a 98.901 acre tract from AR1 to FR1. Regional met on this application on October 24th, 24. Zoning Commission recommendation to the trustees on 11/4. The hearing was advertised in the Delaware Gazette on December 18th, 2024, and posted to the website calendar, both Facebook pages. Community sign in the back door for the illegal amount of time. So Joe, I know you're here. Do you have a statement or any details on the application?
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward lot split, splitting the house off from the farm. They're nice people if you don't know them.
I've heard things.
Yeah, they're looking, we've been running through the lot split process and haven't seen no issues with the split so far. We found it in compliance with your comprehensive plan and otherwise here to answer any questions you guys may have.
Yeah, I read through the minutes from regional and there was nothing, kind of a unanimous motion to approve. I read through the comments from our committee to it. I think I saw two things that were keeping the drive as is, and there was not any concern of it affecting the Century Farm designation.
Yeah, I don't know a bunch about the Century Farm, but it's my understanding that it should not impact the relationship.
Yeah, other than that, there was really no comments or concerns as far as this particular hearing. Any comments from the public or adjoining landowners, neighbors of property? If there's no comment, I would make a motion to approve resolution 25-0108T-035 for the zoning application HTZC 2409. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please, Ashley.
Justin,
abstain.
Holiday,
Aye.
Trainer.
Aye.
Motion carries. It would be effective after a 30-day referendum. And letters be sent out.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Joe.
It's great seeing you all.
Ditto.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Dave, I guess we should open public comment for the regular session. See if there's anything to add before we close it. Nobody, nothing.
Ain't nobody.
Make a motion to adjourn at 2:34.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right, meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.
Get some homework to do.